There comes a point in a man's life, often after 40, when the illusions of youth fade and reality strikes with a sharp edge. Achievements feel less satisfying, unfulfilled dreams weigh heavily, and the body begins to remind him of its limits. What society casually calls a midlife crisis is not merely about sports cars or fading hairlines. It is a deeper reckoning with mortality, meaning, and identity. For the Stoics, such a crisis is not a downfall, but an invitation, an awakening that can redirect a man toward wisdom, self-mastery, and virtue. 1. The collapse of illusions. In youth, men often chase status, wealth, and recognition. These pursuits carry momentum, but by 40 the soul begins to ask, is this all? Seneca warned that a man consumed by external pursuits wakes one day to discover he has lived someone else's life. When the illusions collapse, the crisis begins. Yet Stoicism reframes this collapse as liberation, an opportunity to see clearly what truly matters. 2. The awareness of mortality. At 40, death is no longer a distant abstraction. Parents age, friends pass, and one's own body offers reminders that time is finite. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." The crisis stems not from mortality itself, but from resisting its truth. The Stoic embraces mortality as a compass, guiding him to use time wisely rather than fearing its limit. 3. The burden of unlived potential. Many men at midlife feel the sting of roads not taken. They mourn missed opportunities, failed ambitions, or choices that cannot be reversed. Yet Epictetus taught, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The crisis is not in lost potential, but in clinging to it. True freedom comes when a man accepts what is past and turns his energy toward what remains within his control, his present actions. 4. The body as a mirror of time. The body, once a silent servant, becomes a messenger at midlife. Energy wanes, recovery slows, and health becomes fragile. For some, this feels like betrayal. But Stoicism insists the body is a vessel, not the self. To honor it with discipline, exercise, rest, moderation, is not vanity, but wisdom. A man who tends his body respects the tool that enables him to practice virtue. 5. The weight of responsibilities. By 40, many men carry heavy loads, families to provide for, careers to sustain, debts to repay. These duties can feel suffocating, and the man longs for escape. Yet Marcus Aurelius reminds us, what is not good for the hive is not good for the bee. The Stoic path does not reject responsibility, but redefines it, not as a chain, but as the natural duty of a rational being. A man's crisis eases when he sees service not as loss of freedom, but as an expression of his highest self. 6. The futility of external validation. The midlife crisis often manifests as a desperate attempt to prove one's worth, to younger women, to peers, to society. But external validation is a fleeting drug. The Stoics taught that dignity lies in aligning with virtue, not applause. A man who roots his worth in wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance finds himself immune to the noise of approval or criticism. This is the cure to the restlessness of midlife. 7. The call to stillness. At midlife, noise accumulates, career demands, family needs, inner regrets. Without stillness, a man becomes lost in constant reaction. Marcus Aurelius often returned to solitude, reminding himself, nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. For the man in crisis, stillness, whether through reflection, writing, or silence, is not retreat from life, but recovery of clarity. 8. The transformation of crisis into wisdom. The Stoics did not view crisis as tragedy, but as training. Just as fire tests gold, adversity tests character. The man who resists his midlife crisis wastes energy in denial. The man who embraces it transforms. Crisis is the teacher that reminds him life is short, that virtue is urgent, and that external pursuits are fleeting. What appears as breakdown is, in truth, initiation into deeper manhood. Conclusion. The male crisis after 40 is not a curse but a summons. It is the moment when the illusions of youth fall away and the truths of existence demand to be faced. The Stoics teach us that the way through crisis is not escape but acceptance, not despair but discipline, not indulgence but wisdom. A man who embraces this philosophy discovers that his midlife is not the beginning of decline, but the gateway to freedom. He learns to live not in pursuit of appearances, but in harmony with virtue, so that whatever years remain, whether few or many, are lived fully and without regret.